just a couple weeks away. And that means it's time to start preparing for our Siyam. Siyam in the Arabic language is made up of three root letters, Sad, Waw, Mim, which means to withhold or to refrain. In the context of Islamic law, Siyam means to intentionally refrain from food, drink, and romantic intimacy from the beginning of Fajr to the beginning of Maghrib. Siyam in Ramadan is one of the pillars of our faith, right up there with Hajj, Zakat, and Salah, in terms of how important it is. However, these pillars are not substitutable for one another. Each one is unique, and each one does special work on us and on our souls. Fasting in particular is extra special. روى البخاري ومسلم عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال الله كل عمل ابن آدم له إلا الصيام فإنه لي وأنا أجزي به. Allah Azza wa Jalla said, this is a hadith Qudsi, every deed a person does is for himself, except fasting. Fasting is for me and I will reward it. Very interesting. Your prayer is for you. Your zakat is for you. Your hajj is for you. But your siyam is for Allah. What does that mean? It means a few things. One, it means that it's harder to show off while fasting compared to other acts of worship. And that is because fasting is not about doing something, it's about not doing something. And it's much harder to show off about not doing something. With the things that we do, yes, showing off is very, very easy. In fact, it's too easy. If we wanted to show off in our salah or in our prayer, we all know what we would do. We would make our prayer extra long. Think about the prayers, the average prayer that you make in your home versus the average prayer that you make in the masjid. I'm guessing that the one in the masjid takes longer. Now, this is not necessarily a bad thing. Maybe you have more respect for the masjid. Maybe it's easier to remember Allah Azza wa Jal in the masjid than at home, but we need to watch out. And we need to be careful. And we need to make sure that our prayer in the masjid isn't longer, better, and more serene just because we're afraid other people are watching. That's showing off. And that's very dangerous to our soul. So yes, we can show off in the prayer. We can also show off with zakat and with hajj. Have you heard of social media? Yes. Have you seen people making tawaf around the Kaaba with selfie sticks going live? Yes. Again, it might not be showing off. It might be da'wah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best what is in the hearts of people. However, it might be showing off. And every single person has to be very careful because that is very dangerous for the soul. Which is why the Salaf were so concerned about the quality of their worship as opposed to the quantity of their worship. How do you achieve quality in your worship? By protecting your sincerity, by guarding yourself from any possible way that you could be showing off to somebody else. Worship that is a secret between you and Allah Ta'ala. Worship that nobody else knows about. That's sincere worship, and that's what makes Siyam special, is that it is more sincere by default. No one else can see it. No one else really knows if you're fasting except for Allah subhanahu. If you really, really wanted to, you could fool everyone here. You could be eating all day long. You could eat an hour before you come to the masjid, and then you could show up at the time of iftar and help yourself. We wouldn't know. That's between you and Allah Azza wa Jal. And so if you are really fasting, that means that you chose to do it. And that you chose to do it with sincerity. You weren't just thinking about impressing other people. Another thing that makes Siyam special is that no one can limit the reward or estimate the reward of this particular act of worship. Its real value is hidden with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. رواه مسلم عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم كل عمل ابن آدم يضاعف الحسنة 10 أمثالها إلى 700 ضعف قال الله عز وجل إلا الصوم فإنه لي وأنا أجزي به. The reward of every single deed that a person does is multiplied between 10 and 700 times, Allah said, except fasting. Except fasting, for certainly it is for me, and I will reward it. Every other act of worship, your prayer, your zakat, your hajj, reciting the Quran, it's limited. Even if that limit is extremely generous and expansive, fasting is unlimited. There's no ceiling. If you fast, and if your fast is sincere, and if your fasting is perfect or as close to perfect as you can make it, it will be worth far more than other acts of worship. Great. How can we make fasting perfect? What makes one person's fast better than another person's fast? How can we take advantage of this opportunity that Allah Azza wa Jalla has given us? There's 2 ways. First, in what you avoid, and second, in what you do. How many ways? 2. What you avoid and what you do. When we say what you avoid, we mean going beyond food, water, and intercourse. That's the starter pack. Those are the training wheels. There are other things that you should be avoiding when you fast. You need to fast from slander. You need to fast from gossip. You need to fast from blaming other people or talking about other people behind their backs. You need to fast from cursing and foul language. عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال من لم يدع قول الزور والعمل به والجهل فليس لله حاجة أن يدع طعامه وشرابه رواه البخاري. Whoever doesn't stop foul speech, foul actions, ignorant behavior, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not need you to go hungry and thirsty. He doesn't need you to tire yourself. In other words, what's the point? What's the point of getting hungry and thirsty if the siyam isn't going to reach into your behavior and change your bad habits? If you're getting hungry for 30 days when the sun's up, but you still have a foul mouth, you're not doing it right. And it doesn't stop at your mouth. Let's go to your eyes. The eyes need to fast too. Gentlemen, do not spend your Ramadan scrolling through Instagram or TikTok looking at women. Aib. This is a disease. This shouldn't be happening at any time, especially in Ramadan. You have any idea the poison that you're injecting into yourself and into the women around you? The Prophet ﷺ might have said, because this narration is weak, النظرة سهم مسموم من سهام إبليس. Looking, or the look, or the glance at the opposite sex is one of the devil's poison arrows. Hadith or no hadith, it's true. What if that was your sister? What if that was your daughter? The devil is hyping you up and playing with your mind. He's lying to you so that you belittle the blessings that Allah has already given you in your life. The grass is greener where you water it. You have everything that you need. Let's take responsibility and be better. Let's kick the habit in Ramadan. Let's fast with our eyes. If you want to excel in your fast, if you want your fast to be better than the person next to you, or better than your fast last year, your ears have to fast too. Don't listen to gossip. Don't listen to idle chit-chat. Don't listen to music. These are distractions. Don't you want Jannah? Don't you want this Ramadan to be the time when you secure your spot in paradise? Keep your eyes on the prize. Shut out the distractions and get to work. All that is number one. What makes one person's fast better than another person? Number one, what you avoid while you're fasting. You avoid saying certain things. You avoid looking at certain things. You avoid listening to certain things. Number two is what you do. Because the other acts of worship that you do are more valuable if you do them while you're fasting. If you read Quran, it's valuable and it's beneficial any time that you do it. But it's even more valuable if you do it while you're fasting. If praying, the salah, is valuable any time that you do it, then guess what? When you're fasting, it's even more valuable. Fasting should create more time for you to do these things, which is why sleeping the day away defeats the whole purpose of fasting. Don't waste your time. Rest a little bit, then get back to working for your afterlife. This is also why we should not get too fancy with our food preparation in Ramadan. Are you going to be fasting like a saint during the day and eating like a king throughout the night? The ladies need a break. There shouldn't be more work in the kitchen during Ramadan when you aren't even eating during the day. Fasting should create more time for prayers, more time for Quran, and that includes our women as well. One of the best things that you can do for your soul while fasting is to feed other people. This tames the ego. This disciplines the soul because you want that food yourself. You're hungry. And it's easy to feed people during the day when you aren't allowed to eat. But the real test is to feed people at the time of iftar, when you are allowed to eat, when you've got the green light, when your hunger is at its peak. When you're there this Ramadan, gentlemen and ladies, take a second. First, offer food to the person on your right, then offer food to the person on your left, then have something yourself. If you can control yourself at this moment, the moment of breaking fast, then congratulations. You have won Ramadan. You've learned the lesson. You've passed the test. If you can't control yourself, if you fall upon that food like a wild animal, you're not getting the point. You're missing something. The fasting is meant to teach you. It's meant to reach beyond Ramadan and educate you and discipline you for the entire year. Don't come to iftar thinking that you're there to eat. Huge mistake. You're there to serve. You're there to worship. You're there to feed your brothers and sisters in faith. That takes sincerity. That takes taqwa. Like the Prophet ﷺ said, لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. The Prophet ﷺ said, none of you will have faith until he wishes for his brother Muslim what he likes for himself. We don't want halfway faith. We want complete faith. And we won't get complete faith until we love one another to the point that we are sensitive to each other's needs, to each other's wants. We won't get complete faith until we find the approval and pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in giving others the very same thing that we ourselves want. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله على إحسانه والشكر له على توفيقه وامتنانه وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له تعظيما لشأنه وأشهد أن نبينا وسيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله الداعي إلى رضوانه صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه وإخوانه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. Fasting, Siyam, is special. It's unique. There's absolutely nothing like it. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said so himself. عن أبي أمامة رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم عليك بالصوم فإنه لا مثل له. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, upon you is to fast, for certainly there is nothing like it. Some of the ulama, including Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, say that this means that all else being equal, fasting is the best type of worship. Now, there might be better acts of worship at a particular time for a particular people. It depends on what's going on in your life, and it depends on what's going on in society. In times of economic hardship, zakat and sadaqah might be the best form of worship because you yourself need the money. That means that if you give that money away to other people, it is more sincere, it's more valuable.